Alright. Back in the bathroom because it's 3 a.m. So, not much better. This time, it's like been 10 minutes since I watched the movie. Wrote down some names so I don't mispronounce it this time, slowly improving on this craft. But yeah, oh shit. My eyes aren't right anymore. Just finished watching A Silent Voice. I mean, that was. I wouldn't say it's an emotional roller coaster because, like, the tone was set very early on to be just a super sad movie. So you can't really call it a roller coaster. It's more of just like constant emotional tension that just keeps you in it. Wow. I guess since I have the characters' names down, I guess I'll just talk about the characters because I think that's my biggest takeaway. Like what I want to talk about. So yeah, first, the protagonists, Shoya and Shoko. Wow. I think I'll talk about Shoko first, the deaf girl, because there's not as much to say compared to Shoya. But wow. First of all, the fact that she's constantly apologizing is, I think, what made me begin to cry. I think it's the first time I've cried since I read Season of Blossom, like a couple months ago. And like, no matter what situation he is, no matter like how egregious the acts of violence or the words thrown at her are, she's apologetic, and it's to the point where it's unreasonable. And I guess from here I'll just go into Yuneo. I think Yuneo is one of the most important characters to the story because she's kind of like the opposite side of the same coin. And in that way, she's very hypocritical. Like how she blames Shoko at the end for only caring about what she wants, only caring about herself, when obviously it's clear that Yuneo also is only caring about what she wants herself. But they work perfectly off each other. They're both, well, I don't want to say they're both, but like, especially on the Ferris wheel, like, I think that was a very powerful moment when Yuneo is basically admitting her hatred for Shoko. And yet even then Shoko still apologizes, even though in the beginning when we learn about what has happened to Shoko, she's being pummeled, she's getting her hearing aids ripped out, she's being called nasty things, people are writing nasty things about her on the board. And that mostly stems from Yuneo and of course Shoya. And I wouldn't really say that even Shoya's friends from that time were really had to do with anything. And I think that shows the dynamic between Shoko and Shoya throughout the movie. It's like Shoko's always just trying to be friends, trying to be harmless, trying to exist with her inability to hear. She's trying to exist like any other human being, but because of what she has dealt with, the cards that she's dealt with, naturally she's just going to be cast away. And I think the most powerful part of the movie, when looking at through Shoya's perspective, is the way that it almost feels like he starts developing that sort of hearing loss. Like whatever Shoko experienced when he was in grade school, it seemed like when he was in middle school, he was experiencing the same thing. yeah. I mean, I think the most powerful part of the movie, the second most powerful part of the movie, is when at the very end, where Shoya is back at the school festival, and he uncups his ears, like signaling that he's ready to listen again and ready to be aware of his surroundings and not hide from everything, not head down, minding your own business, trying to ignore the things that are going around you. And then on top of that, the X's on top of people's faces and how they slowly fall off, or in some cases they go back on because he realizes that he didn't get the full motivation. And I think that's another part where I think Ineo plays a huge role in the development of the characters. She kind of acts like a get back on track for Shoya, where like he begins to trust in her and see her as a friend again, and all of a sudden he realizes that she has this oh my god, I can't speak. Ulterior motive, and that makes him seal up again. But I mean, it's amazing. But now, honestly, I should talk more about it. And honestly, I think I figured out what makes me cry. I think it's the suicide motifs. Like, for example, Season of the Blossom, that's suicide galore. And the opening shot, the intro, where he's standing on the bridge, when he gives his mom money as apology. We still have no idea what the money's for at that point. And he stands on the bridge and he's ready. And yet he can't. And then my AirPods went out, whatever, fuck it. Okay, let's put this. Ew, they're disgusting. I need to clean them. But then when I put this in my pocket, and I think the reason why he doesn't jump off the bridge at that point is not because he doesn't feel guilty. He definitely feels guilty, but I think it's come from a sense of like he feels so guilty that committing suicide is for him a means of mercy, and it actually doesn't really help anyone around him. And I think that's one of the big points of suicide is the escape, right? When someone commits suicide, it's not because, obviously it's because something happened, but it's a way for them to escape from whatever pain that's happening to them. Holy shit, how long did I yap? 8 minutes? Jesus Christ. Lord have mercy. Father forgive me. Alright, let's move on to some other characters. In fact, let's go to my favorite character, actually, the entire thing, which is Yuzuru. Okay, now my head's out of it. Which is Yuzuru, which was Shoka's younger sister. And I think she is the perfect character. She has a connection to one of the protagonists. She is very selfless, but at the same time very selfish. Oh my gosh, my retainers are messing with me. But like when she's in the very beginning, when Yuzuru first meets Shoya, she tries to drive him away. Obviously, in one sense, that's to protect her sister, but in the other sense, it's to protect her own, I would say, ego. Like she feels like the necessity to protect her sister, her older sister. And when she's unable to, that's when we see her unravel. And when she really completely changes after what? I mean, I would say after Shoka's attempted suicide, but she definitely changes beforehand. And I think maybe she changes when she realizes that she's unable. You know what? I pinpointed it. It's when she brings back the little cat sticker that Shoya wanted to give Shoko, and she sees Shoko like crying in bed because her hearing is not getting any better. And at that point, it's when Yuzuru realizes that she's unable to help her by herself, and that's when her ego kind of shatters. I don't know. There's just something about how she interacts with every single character, no matter how well or how little they know about each other. And it's really amazing. Other prominent characters I didn't go over. You have Sahara. There's what's her name? I wrote it down. Kawaii, and then the red hair guy Musabi. I think they're great additional characters because you add more context. You know, Kawaii and was there in the class, Sahara as well, and then you have like a new face who is honestly like Musabi is the only person who can take a step back, doesn't know any context, and is able to judge. And obviously his judgment at first was, oh, I want to be friends with Shoya, but then after that it's like, whoa, you bullied a deaf girl in grade school, you're a horrible person. And of course that just reinforces what Shoya already thinks about himself. I should wrap this up. It's at 12 minutes. No one's gonna watch this 12-minute thing. But themes, takeaways. The idea, you know, I don't like the idea of what comes around, what goes around comes around. I mean, in a sense, it's like very true, and I would hope that it would be true. But in a different sense, I don't think it all needs to come back around. And like if you feel truly remorseful, truly horrified by your past self, then the full brunt of what happens to you, what you did, doesn't necessarily need to come back. It only needs to fully come back if you're unaware or unable to realize your faults. And it's a story of accepting oneself, and like, you know, and this is through the context of Shoya, who I consider the primary protagonist, while I would consider Shoko the secondary protagonist. It's about grounding yourself, finding something that grounds you, not necessarily searching for validation, but to try to put a bow tie on everything, to make amends for what you've done. And you know, obviously there's the no bullying message, there's the no suicide message, but like just like one layer deeper, it's like, well, how it makes you think, well, how can I prevent it? How can I stop it? How can I make someone better? And how can I make amends to those who are wrong? Holy yeah session. I feel like at the very end, the theme, I didn't really say anything. But yeah, wow, they were great. I don't actually have any more anime movies that are on my list to watch, so I think I still need to finish the script of a long form video, and the short that we're making for the other channel is so much. But yeah, 100% recommend. I don't know, I might not post for a couple days as I work on some other stuff, but you best believe I'm gonna be reading or something. Probably not watching. I'll probably take a little break from watching anything, especially after that emotional ride. Yeah. 15 minutes. Holy yap session, am I right? Oh my gosh. I can't think of anyone who would sit through 15 minutes of that. And I'm not even editing this. Why would I edit it? This is basically just like me practicing like talking to the mirror. Holy breakouts. I started skincare. That's pretty cool, right?